What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So yes, USC football, as their season does start this Saturday coming up against Arizona State at 9 o'clock in the morning. They are ranked number 20 in the nation in most polls, which is pretty good, especially since they were ranked around 15th before the season started. And that was at the time when we didn't know if the Pac-12 was ever going to come back or not. But at least it's a pretty good starting point. A lot of teams are beating up each other, so if USC could go undefeated in their schedule, I think they can make the playoff final, or at least be up there in the discussion. So hopefully that does happen. And then another bit of USC basketball news. KJ Allen, a basketball player, recently committed to the Trojans. I don't know much on him. They didn't really put anything out on him. I don't even know if he's a 3 or a 4, maybe even a 5-star guy, but he seems okay, so we'll see what he can do. He's a new commitment, and they need a bunch of guys to replace, so we'll see what that unfolds for them. Then yes, the Chargers, they lost in dramatic fashion, as they always do. It wouldn't be fitting if they were only up by 6 and lost by that 1 point. So I believe the final score was like 31-30, but they did it to themselves. I mean, sadly, I think it was like around the 4th quarter or so. Joey Bosa wasn't out there, especially for that final drive. Obviously their best defender, and the Broncos were able to get down the field. I mean, it probably wouldn't have mattered anyways because there was a lot of pass interference calls and all that other crap. They helped them out a lot, so you definitely want your best defender out there, but I don't think it would have mattered anyways. And then another coach's decision / healthy scratch was Desmond King, their cornerback, who I think they definitely could have used in this game. I don't know if he was trying to get a trade or is just upset at how they're using him, but for some reason it's been like he's been 2 healthy scratches and they haven't traded him. So I don't know what's going on. I think it's definitely a waste of a good player if they just let him go because they're frustrated with him. But I think he has every right to be frustrated with the team at this moment. Just sucks that he's not being able to get any playing time, but we'll see how that unfolds. I think it's tomorrow, Tuesday, is the trade deadline. So if we do trade him, hopefully it goes to a better place for him, get something back in return, but I hope we don't just release him because that would suck a lot. And yeah, it's just tough because it's the same stuff over and over. And I don't think it's Anthony Lynn's fault. It's just the Chargers are cursed, especially when it comes to close games. I think this is like the 16th game in the past 2 years that they've lost closely. The only problem was like in Anthony Lynn's 1st or 2nd year, he won a lot of those games. That's why they made the playoffs, but now they're actually losing them because of too many injuries and bad execution, stuff like that. So he was asked after the game if he would make any changes or if there should be changes. But he said this is the team. You can't just fix everyone halfway through the season, whether it's coaching or players. But I definitely thought they should have been making changes before this. But now they're right around the midpoint and they're definitely way under 500. So I'd say shoot for a top 10 pick no matter what, Chargers. That's what's going to help you instead of just trying to piece everything together with guys you find off the street. Once they make 1 or 2 good plays, you think you're great, but then nothing happens after that and you still lose the game. So yeah, very crazy ending to that game, and I expect many more of those close losses coming up this year. So Michael Pittman Jr., the wide receiver ex-USC for the Indianapolis Colts, was activated this last weekend, which is good for him. I know it's crazy, like his emergency procedure he had earlier in the year and could have been really bad, but luckily he's going to be going out there pretty soon, so that's good for him. And then USC basketball, they finally found out their first opponent and when it was. So December 13th is when they will start, and it's against Stanford. And it's kind of like a weird system. I think they're gonna do like what they kind of normally do, which is well, now it's like 2 teams, so USC, UCLA, will go up to Washington and play Washington State like in the same time, so they're kind of like in their own mini bubble, which is kind of weird because they're still from different campuses as well. I don't know, it was very weird. I didn't really read up on it. I just saw the diagram and I got confused as hell, so I have to look up more into that. But they said that USC is projected to finish 6th in the conference, which is pretty bad. It's middle of the pack, but I don't know. I don't think Oregon is going to be as good. They lost a lot of guys. Arizona as well, they lost a lot of guys too. So I think it's definitely up for grabs this year. So you never know. And then the Lakers had an interesting stat this last season where if they had a lead going into the fourth quarter, then they were 57-0, which is obviously amazing, is what you would expect from a team that won the championship, knowing how to close games whenever you had the lead. So just definitely glad to see that. Hopefully they can continue going into next year and we'll see what they can do. But right now I'm gonna get up a little bit group of targets that the Chargers can go after, to whether it's based on salary or to get a guy for a position or try to get draft picks. But I'm gonna go through that real quick and hopefully they'll listen, but of course they never do. And so like I said, real quick, of a couple players that I heard from a pretty credible trading block news website that might be available if the Chargers are interested, especially via trade. So Riley Reef, some type of left tackle help they definitely need. I don't think Sam Tevi or Tavai is the answer. I know they've been trying to push him out there for so long, but I don't think him or Pipkins are the answer out there at left tackle. And instead of waiting for the draft, you have a guy who's like a little over 30, still very productive, and a team willing to give him up just because they have a guy behind him who's pretty good as well. So you could get him probably for like a 5th round pick, just that. You don't have to give up anyone else, but you could sweeten the deal, throw in like a Desmond King, who I know they were trying to target, and get, you know, a higher pick back as well. So you just never know. It's a good option for both teams, but I just don't think it'll happen, but we'll see. And then a little bit of linebacker help. Jared Davis, who still is on his rookie deal, which I'm kind of surprised why he was up here, but for some reason he's been being used less and less in that defense in Detroit, which is crazy just because when he was coming out of Florida, I always thought he was a great linebacker and wanted him for the Chargers, but he did get picked in the 1st round. So I'm pretty sure you won't have to give up that type of pick just to get him, but maybe a nice 5th round pick to sweeten the deal. That 5th round pick is always nice, especially in trades. So, and especially if you just ask for the player and you take on his contract, which is still on a rookie deal, you could keep him another year and re-sign him. So let's hope that that happens. And then Hassan Reddick, another guy who's on a rookie deal, but he's been very underwhelming when he was a 1st round pick for Arizona coming out of Temple. He is barely just showing a lot of what he can do because they finally put him in his correct position that he was while at Temple, and he's producing sacks and making plays in the run game as well. So I'm kind of surprised why he would be on the trading block, but maybe they're just trying to get something good in return, maybe like a 3rd, 4th round pick for him. Even though I think Arizona should have been buyers, but they do have DeAndre Hopkins' new contract on their books, so pretty sure that's why they kind of want to sell, because they don't think they could keep him next year anyways. But definitely a good guy to play outside linebacker for the Chargers, who is healthy right at the moment. And then other guys like a David Njoku, a tight end. I always think you need a more athletic, more versatile tight end, but I don't want to pick him in the 1st round like how this guy was selected. But I'd rather get trades off because they have too many tight ends out there in Cleveland, and he's been kind of like 3rd or 4th string at times, and he is just coming off an injury, but he is 100% healthy. They're barely using him, so I think you can still get him for like a 6th round pick. If that 6th, 7th round pick, they'd be glad to get rid of him so they don't have to pay him. But then you give yourself options as far as Chargers wise, because then you could choose between him or Hunter Henry, who you think would be the better going into the future. I think you need a more versatile guy. Henry, he's okay in the blocking game. He could be better, and just his athleticism isn't quite there anymore with his major injury he had. So I think that's kind of like the newer way you gotta go. And then John Ross, the wide receiver from Cincinnati. You could always use good slot fast receivers, which is what he is, but they have too many receivers out there in Cincinnati, which is why he got bumped down to like 4th or 5th string and is hardly getting anything, and has been one of these guys who's been very vocal about wanting to get traded. And I just think he could help out any team, especially Chargers, because they try to use those type of sweet routes where the wide receiver comes and the quarterback just hands it off to him and runs around the line. But they do that with like 6'5" Mike Williams, who is probably fast, but he's not the correct player to do that, the correct type of wide receiver, in my opinion. So get a guy like that for a 7th round pick, who was once a 1st round pick as well. I think that's straight money. So you'd be able to sign him too for cheap, because he took a chance on him as well to keep him next year. And then Kerryon Johnson, another guy on his rookie deal, but once again, he's like third like pecking order in the Detroit Lions running back room. It's crazy because Adrian Peterson is old, and yeah, DeAndre Swift is the younger guy they drafted, but I don't understand why Peterson is getting more playing time than him, and Johnson is healthy, so I don't know why he's not getting more. I think he did score a touchdown this last weekend, so maybe they're trying to get some of his stats up to be able to trade him. But I like him. I think you could waste like a 5th, 6th round pick just because of his potential. And I think he might have 2 more years, especially with that option on the 5th year. So it could be a good investment for the Chargers, just because once you had Eckler go down, you have guys who can help you get some yards, but they're not. I don't think they're talented enough to get into the end zone and punch it in, which has kind of been the trouble lately. So help out that running back spot. And yeah, that's pretty much it as far as I can remember. So hopefully I did say all the right people, but thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Hopefully the Chargers are listening. They have around less than 24 hours, I think, for the trade deadline. So hopefully we do see some news all over the NFL and see what these NFL contenders can do, these playoff teams, what type of trades they make, because it's going to be very interesting. Bye on.